Yeah, Jay Cutler's going to join us for the second half. So we'll do a one-on-one with him. Interesting guy, branching out. So we'll get into that, find out what's going on with Sage Steel and all that business as well. First...
sorry, is that a reason? Is that why the Jay Cutlery is on the table over here?
Gina.
Oh, did not see that.
Some knives on the table.
Please.
Yeah, I don't know who... Somebody left the knife on the table probably because someone was using the knife and then done with the knife.
Yeah.
This is my new world order when people are done with stuff.
Right.
They're done. All right. So I always talk about stuff you couldn't do and then stuff you can do. And if you've been around long enough, you've seen it all. And for me, started off, I'm just an atheist from the valley, just a humble atheist from the valley. And so, like,
trying to make your way in the world?
Yeah. And I would show up to do radio, and there'd be these long-winded explanations on why you can say boobs and you can say boobies, but you can't say tits, but you can say titties.
Oh.
And you can you couldn't say titties, but you could say titty bar.
Oh, right.
That was the gateway to us being able to. And I was always like, well, you can say jugs and hooters and bazoombas and Winnebagos and everything else. I'm looking at you, Gina.
No, thank you.
But what tits is innocuous, and it has something to do with a teat.
Right.
You
teats.
know, it's got a basis and some reality. What's so wrong? And it was like, man, we can't because George Carlin did a bit on it.
I'm glad you brought that up because it was reverse engineered from the 7 deadly words, that comedy bit, and it became like sacrosanct in TV and radio. And it's like,
well, maybe comedians have a larger impact than we'd anticipated, Dave Chappelle.
Talk about unimaginative.
Okay, motherfucker. Okay, but piss?
Yeah,
How did piss sneak in there?
Why is piss worse than bitch?
Well, piss. Well, first off, we literally made national broadcast protocol.
Yes.
Based on a bit that a stoner comedian did in the 70s.
And based on the hippy dippy weatherman.
No one thought to take it and run and like improve it or refine it. Like, why? In what world is piss more offensive than asshole?
Yeah.
Right. And so at the beginning, you could say a-hole. Maybe it morphed into asshole at some point. You could say pissed off, but you couldn't say it went from, you could say pissed off, you can say I'm taking a piss, and then later it went to, you could say you were taking a piss, but you couldn't say you were pissing on your girlfriend's shin in the shower.
You can be
pissed off, not pissed on.
There's a lot of stuff, and it never really made any sense to me. And then there was a lot of, you've got to be local. You can't have one guy out of the studio. Bean of Kevin and Bean moved to Seattle area, Washington, and sort of blew that whole thing up 20 years ago. But there was always something involving gambling. Now, Jimmy would do the sports picks, and he'd say at the time, the unbeaten Rams at 9-0 were playing the 0-9 Dolphins. I picked the Rams, but he couldn't mention the part where they were giving away 14.5 points or something like that, which would factor in quite heavily. So there was no spreads and there was no talk of gambling. It was just
couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it. And so you turn on ESPN and they have Mike Ditka and all the old coaches, and they go, I like the Patriots this weekend against the Browns in 2003. And it was like, yeah, no shit. Patriots at home against the Browns. Now, if we start factoring in 17 points, then, maybe that makes it more challenging.
Right.
But it was just no talk of betting and no talk of spreads. We can talk about games and who we think's going to win the games. And, wink, wink, you can bet on them, but we can't say anything about Vegas or odds or betting or anything. And then all of a sudden I'm watching MLB and I'm watching the playoffs and they're running commercials for FanDuel.
Oh, it's game on.
Yeah, and they're talking about the Dodgers are up by 2 runs, which means you can get in now in the 4th inning
and think they'll come back.
Right.
Plus 800 or whatever.
All right, so it never existed and now it exists.
What happened?
What happened?
The switch flipped.
I know, but it was me the whole time and other people going, I don't get it. It's insidious, it's wrong, it's bad, fine. But now it's not. And the same with Bad Beats, which is a good bit on Sports Center. Van Pelt, right. where he's talking about, it's literally a 15-minute segment about games that if you bet the over, you thought you were safe. Oh, you got beat at the end, or vice versa, or spreads, or totals, or whatever that is. So just in case, and just for the next time someone tells you, well, the reason we can't do this is because we can't do this.
Right.
Keep in mind, if it doesn't make sense to you, then in a couple of years, it'll just be on. It'll be another one of those weird societal hurdles we threw in front of ourselves for no reason based on you can't do it. Yes.
Marijuana is another, or cannabis is another example of this. Like, it's an Emperor's New Clothes kind of analogy where it's like, oh, we're all just going along with this charade because that's just the way it's done. And as soon as the switch flips and it's like, oh, we can do it the other way. Oh, let's do it. It's a floodgate opening.
Totally true. And obviously, if people can make money off it, eventually it's going to go their way, such as gambling, cannabis, what have you.
And this weird puritanical thing, or the gambling is bad, but cannabis, who's hurting?
It's a sin.
Well, it's also, gambling is probably not something you would hope that your son or daughter made a career in, but it exists. People are doing it anyway, much like the pot. So be it. The people who are going to gamble are already gambling, and the people that are already toking are already toking. On a slightly different note, Mike Lynch went to the oil and lube or tire place today, and he sent me this picture that he took of the offerings.
The coffee pot offerings.
The coffee pot.
Seems imbalanced.
They're all pods now.
Yep.
And the pods, I think he wrote a note with it, Chris, but I think he tallied up 8 decafs and 1 hazelnut and 0 regular coffees. Now, I've always assumed this, and I've been yelling about this for a million years. It's my sort of, how many veggie pizzas do we need if only 2 people out of the 50 of the crew at the party or whatever the event is are vegetarian or vegan? But this is what we do. We have to have this sort of equal offering, and maybe it's this constant equality thing. I don't know if it just flowed into coffee pods, but we do not. Okay, first things first. Nobody needs decaf. People partake in decaf, but no one needs it because there's nothing in it.
Right.
It's like saying,
placebo.
oh my God, I need a drink. Give me an O'Doul's. You don't need it. It doesn't have alcohol. Nobody needs a non-alcoholic beverage. You may enjoy a non-alcoholic beverage, but no one needs
for it. You don't need a powdered sugar cigarette.
If you're looking to avoid caffeine or alcohol, the world is your oyster. There are literally no end.
May I
your choices.
suggest a warm mug of tap water? Or anything.
Number of options.
Right. Sunny D.
Yeah.
So the point is nobody needs it. So number one, nobody needs it. So you're under no real stress to provide it if no one needs it. Now, people who go into the tire rotation place at 6:45 in the morning, they may need a
jump start.
Some caffeine in their life. But the people have spoken because everyone gobbled up all the caffeinated stuff and the non-flavored stuff. And then I would also say, if you like flavored coffee, you don't really like coffee.
Coffee's a flavor.
You like hazelnut.
Yes.
That is, or French vanilla.
Yes.
Those are the flavors you enjoy. But you're not really a coffee person. And so I'm going to go ahead and lump you in with the decafers, which is you're not serious about this.
Cherry cola.
Right.
Cola itself is a flavor.
My feeling is let's go ahead and just get our ratios worked out. If everyone is snatching up all the caffeinated regular coffee, then have 2 offerings for the decaf and 28. It doesn't. We whacked it. We whacked this thing. We took coffee drinkers and we just split them down the middle. We went, all right, there's 100 coffee drinkers in this room. 50 of you enjoy decaf. It's like, no,
not even
that's
remotely.
not. I don't even know. If you got 100 coffee drinkers in any given space, You may not find one that's in the decaf, but over-under would be 3.5.
The only time I've ever seen anyone ask for decaf is after a very, very late dinner.
Right.
I've never seen anyone else drink decaf before.
Yeah, like when you're at the Lube and Tune place and it's 4 a.m. and you're trying to bring it down, but you want something
You
to
have a nice
ride
cheesecake
home.
for the table.
Yes. So nobody needs this. The people have spoken. You go to the hotels. It's one decaf, one regular. Knock it off. Get your ratios down, people.
Is this another example of you're not allowed to judge? I think we could judge. We could profile who's going to be at the Jiffy Lube.
It's a kind of a thing maybe that gets into a bigger subject, which is a death of math versus what we really have. Like we go back to Dave Chappelle and transgendered community. It's like, all right, the transgender. We got to protect the transgender community. Who are we really talking about? How many people are we talking about? And I would argue the transgender community is even lower than the decaf community. I think there's probably less Americans that are transgendered than actually drink decaf.
Probably right.
Who can do the math on this? Because I looked it up yesterday. If we have about 1.5 million transgender people in the country out of 330 million, what percentage would that be? I'm no good.
1.5 million?
1.5 million is the stat I saw.
That'd be like
4%.
Sorry, not 4%.
A little less than half.
0.35. Oh, sorry. 0.4.
0.41.
0.41. 0.4.
So
whatever.
just shy of 0.5%.
Just shy of 0.5%. If in fact the 1.5.
1.4.
1.4 is even that high. We don't know how completely accurate that is. Well, maybe there's more, but I would say the 1.4 million out of the 330. The 330 million. Well, maybe it's 0.5, 0.47. I don't know.
And the 0.4s, I would guess, because 1% would be 3 million. Had to cut that in half, or 1.5 million.
Right, but then we're at 1.4, so now we got to bump it up, and there's a little, but there's a little more than 300.
So
yeah.
All right.
I'm sticking with 0.41.
All right. Yeah, I'm right in there too. The point is there's less trans than decaf, but it's still about the same at the tire changing place.
Right.
Also, you have to think about the brand of dude who goes into the tire rotation place at 7:15 in the morning. That's probably a caffeine guy.
Yeah.
It's probably someone's going to hit it before work and head in. Anyway, we in the name of equity, we've provided everything for everyone, which is fine if there's an unlimited amount of deli subs or Baconator pizzas for the people who want it. But if all that shit just goes like the coffee goes, and then they're just left with the decaf, then some people are going without.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. All right.
Tough talk. Tough affair. Speaking
of the Chappelle special, I was thinking about this because we were talking yesterday about it, and the trans community wants a disclaimer, and then Gina said, well, they do the disclaimers in front of the old Peter Pan movies and lots of Disney. Well, there's a disclaimer in front of everything that was made before Wednesday of this week. Right. But I thought, and then there's part of you that goes, all right, so they're doing a disclaimer on everything. I would argue that the comedy special, when you announce there is a comedy special, that's the disclaimer.
Maybe jokes involved.
There may be things that talk about people who look like you or whose friends you have or family members you have. If it is, in fact, a comedy special, this is an interesting subject to me because when I was growing up and beyond, a comedy special was the disclaimer.
Right.
This is it's not a TED Talk.
Right.
It's not the Attorney General's going to address the UN or anything. It's it's a comedy special. Thus, blanket covered disclaimer. Comedy special. Eddie Murphy's going to say crazy shit.
Yeah.
That's what it was. So
Joan Rivers may insult someone.
I would argue that when you go, oh, fine, we'll put a disclaimer in front of the comedy special. Now you're kind of saying, well, the comedy special is a possible call to action, and people should take it this way or take it that way. The title Comedy Central Comedy Special is the disclaimer to me.
Could have the reverse effect too. Like, first of all, I hate calling it a disclaimer. It's just, whatever is a parental advisory, warning, what's content advisory, whatever you want to call it. That said, I go to see a lot of movies, right? And there's a lot of trailers, sometimes 6, 7 trailers for the movie, and it'll say rated R for graphic violence throughout, or sexual situations or whatever, and I kind of perk up. I'm like, oh, no, I'm going to watch this trailer. I'm kind of interested.
Yeah, I like.
It could be that sort of reverse effect.
I like the one that says period smoking.
Oh, yeah.
My take is what a bitch wants to do on her period is her business.
Thank
That's a
you.
rough time to
2 days a month I want to cool.
That's right. I don't need a heads up. All right. Also, let's see. It is, we got a new Rich Banks song.
Oh.
That I think our own Bald Brian penned the lyrics to.
I wish you had said that afterwards.
Is Gilligan silent?
I think so.
They're boring and they're lazy. They're sure to drive you crazy. They don't care about racing. It's Adam's Family. There's a Wyatt and Lauren, a homeless cat named Norman. His daddy plays the horn. It's Adam's Family.
Oh, great. How would I know that? Oh, yeah.
They never went to eat out. His sister tried to sneak out. His mom is yelling freak out. It's Adam's Family.
That's great.
Nice.
That's
There you
great.
go. Just in time for Halloween.
Yes.
Awesome.
Hey, big credit to Rich Banks, not just for the song. He suggested the drops in the middle because there's that part where they just go neat, sweet,
Right,
or whatever
right.
they say. And
Right.
he's like, hey, man, how about some drops? I'm like, that's a fucking great idea. I'll get him to you right away.
Very funny. Yeah,
Very
the drops
good.
worked and nice.
Yeah, it's Adam's Family.
Speaking of the Addams Family, they're getting dangerously close to Star Trek in the, I don't know whose idea this was in the mid-'60s and how much peyote you drop, but I've had enough of the Addams Family.
Oh, they're back, dude.
I know.
Loves the cartoons.
And the Adam's
Oh, the
Family too.
Addams Family films, I mean.
And I hope you don't feel that way about the Munsters. We'll get into that in the news.
Oh, yeah,
no.
Grandpa Al. Grandpa Al Munster, who, of course, hit me.
Yeah.
He was also just one of the meanest human beings I've ever met in my life.
Why do I love that? Why
How
is
much
that
of
like so
that-
perfect for him?
How much of that you think comes from the fact that he probably considered himself, he is a man of about 50-ish, probably when the show was on-ish, 48, whatever it was. He probably considered himself a real actor, like probably a stage actor, and then he's known best
Well,
as fucking Grandpa Munster for the rest of his life.
He also had a big role in Car 54, Where Are You?
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that predated the Munsters.
So do you think it's sort of an Alf Dad's Willie situation where he was very angry over just being Willie Tanner or whatever his name was in the show for so long?
Or was he just a mean fuck?
I think it's like a Venn diagram.
Well, I liked him. I spent a lot of time at his house, and I was fine with like mean dads.
Yeah.
I sort of, in a weird way, it showed a kind of a presence or
Yeah.
something. Like he was there. He was pissed.
Right.
You wouldn't hear him if he was living in Nevada somewhere with his new girlfriend. He was there. His wife was named Marge.
Mm-hmm.
She was a nurse. Frequently had one of the adhesive eye patches on. There seemed to be some sort of ongoing thing going on. It was just
In a "it's my fault for leaving the mop out" kind of way?
I don't know, but it was always a little off-putting. He was kind of back. But by the way, it was back when adults could be mean, and no one called him out on
Of course
it.
not.
He was like
It's their job.
one of these guys that loved sports, but announced the announcers are horrible, so he'd watch it with the sound down and maybe put the radio
Yes.
on or something.
Yes, that's a move.
Angry at the TV set. Love sports. Love high school sports.
I can't call Victor on this. I don't know, but I will. I did look on Wikipedia, and Al Lewis has had a thriving Broadway career before he got into Car 54. Where are you?
Then, don't take the job. What's up with these guys?
It's the same with Agnes Moorehead, who
Right.
played Endora, the
Bewitched.
mother-in-law in Bewitched. These people are all big stars in the 30s,
Right.
the 40s, and the 50s. And at some point, they're doing an arc on Love Boat,
And that's
that. Yeah, he was. Oh, you got a story in the news about Al?
Well, I have it about the Munsters
Oh, the
specifically.
Munsters.
So,
Yeah.
we'll get into that.
Yeah, it was kind of a novelty, and he kind of looked the same out of makeup, so people would recognize him.
I always liked the Munsters better than the Addams Family when we'd watch it in reruns.
Was
there a difference?
Yeah, I mean, technically two different shows.
I know, but was there a quality difference?
Maybe it was just on more. I don't know. We liked watching the Munsters and Happy Days and all that shit after school.
He drove a Volvo wagon back when nobody owned a Volvo in the San Fernando Valley. Had a lot of stickers on the back windshield, and I can't remember if they were like those camping kind of, though I don't remember him camping.
Weird.
I remember him not choosing to use a spittoon, but just to spit on the hardwood floor.
That's a man.
They lived in kind of Van Nuys, North Hollywood era, and he was kind of semi-retired by then. I guess he was 7 years after the Munsters, so he just kind of hung out. Maybe he went on some auditions. I don't know if he, at some point, moved to New York. I think opened a pub or a bar or something. I think he sort of started to embrace the Grandpa Al thing. He probably was trying to get away from it for a little while. But all right, we'll dive into that.
It's important.
Got a couple of calls up here, and now again, I was hit by two parents. Not my own, but I was hit by Roberta, and I was hit by
the lost verse.
Al. And
Roberta was the arm whack behind the chair, right?
they were both Volvo wagon related blind arm whacks behind the chair or behind the driver's seat. The difference was Roberta was a little hippie-ish and a little woke-ish, still, violent, but into the indigenous people and peace and love, and then occasionally violent.
Right.
Billy Jackass.
Right. Right. They didn't want trouble, but she found it in that Volvo.
Right.
The difference in the handling of the situation, because when you whack the kid, and it's not your kid, and then at some point that kid's going to return to his home, there's a decent chance that the kid may report that they were whacked by the parent. Now, I didn't communicate much with my parents, and I was always a kind of internalizer. I was like, well, I got hit because I deserve to get hit, so I'm no worse for wear.
Right.
I don't have a black eye. No one's going to ask me about it. And I'm not going to bring it up because I don't want further discussion about it.
Right.
Why did they do this? Or worse yet, I'm going off to Roberta's house and I'm going to settle this, or I'm going to go, I who wants that mishigash, right? So I was like, I'm not saying a word, but interestingly enough, Roberta, who, was obviously a violent felon inside of the Volvo, but once she got outside of the Volvo, cooler heads prevailed. It was all peace and love. And she saw it fit to tell my mom.
Oh, wow. Self-reporting.
She self-reported. Al said nothing, and that was fine with me, and it was fine with Al. So Al never had that conversation.
And wasn't Roberta's just kind of catch as catch can, whoever's back there, and Al singled you out? Am I remembering that correctly?
No, they were both targeted. There was targeting. If that was the NFL, that guy would have been suspended for a week. Yeah, there was targeting.
Okay.
Al, I don't even remember. Al wasn't even that much. We were just at a gas station waiting around, maybe talking about Slurpees or something. That was good enough for the whack. Roberta, I was doing my best impersonation of her, which caught her ire.
Wait, so pound for pound, Al Lewis is a monster.
A monster.
Well,
a monster.
he didn't report to be nice.
Yeah.
You knew what you were signing up for when you got into the Volvo.
No
with
false
Al.
pretenses.
You dare shoot the shit about candy while he's getting gas?
I honestly, I'm sure it was something, but it wasn't anything that would have been directed at him because I knew who he was.
Right.
Like I knew the hand could come sailing back there at any point. It was, by the way, I'm surprised there was so much backseat smacking in my childhood that it should have been part of the advertisement for the vehicle. The extra wide seats.
Right.
We don't have those clumsy bench seats where you can't get your arm over the top of the headrest.
Strike your children with ease. And
Right.
Volvo.
Our competitors have barely 9 inches of daylight for you to get your arm back there and concuss your kid. We have a full 13 inches. Easy whacking.
And Brian, just to compare the two, how many times have you, while you're driving or in the passenger seat, just reach back to grab your child's hand or pat their leg?
Oh, yeah.
I do it all the
Gently,
time.
stroke Tessa.
Plenty of room.
Yeah. How you doing, baby?
I would, Chris, we should put this out there, but I would like to know, I cannot be the only child who was smacked by other people's parents.
You are in this studio.
No.
Dawson put his headset on.
Well, my mom smacked other kids.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
So it's kind of the opposite.
I like that.
What did she smack him for?
One time we were at a track meet, and one of my friends told his mom to shut up.
Oh.
And my mom just
Wow.
Justice.
Wow.
What did the other mom do?
She just kind of stared there like, holy shit, you just hit my kid.
She silently mouthed.
And you're
Nobody said
welcome.
anything. And then my mom was horrified, like, oh shit, I just knocked your kid over.
Over.
Wow.
Like, boom.
Knocked him off balance?
Mom
Yeah.
strength.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's frontier justice, and then there's front ear justice. I think that's what I was on the losing end of. Yeah. Wow. So you're multiple belts with your mom?
And then another time, I was kind of
She
joking.
went full John Stossel on his ass. Remember when John Stossel got the ear box and down to the ground?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
By a wrestler?
Pro wrestler.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And then another one I remember is this was in high school. My mom asked me and my friend Steve what we were doing, and I said, we're going to go find some drugs and find some chicks and party. And my mom slaps my face and then looks at my friend Steve and goes, Steve, what are you guys going to do? Just like Mike said, we're going to go get some drugs, find some chicks and party. And boom, his knees buckled. She hit him harder than she hit me.
I love
She
this
bent him
woman.
over.
That's great.
Steve didn't have the sense to alter the story.
Steve was on
I mean,
drugs.
to be fair, they were probably telling the truth.
Well, that's true, but that was his cue. I mean, I feel like he had a little,
A little window.
you know,
Window
it's
of
kind of like
negligence.
that move where the cop goes, look, I'm going to let you off with a warning, but if you say anything else, I'm going to get you out of the car. I just don't understand why you guys don't have better
Yeah, you
things. All right,
would.
now
Out.
we're
Step
out.
out, sir.
I think he might have seen it coming, but I didn't think he thought it would be as potentially
Robust.
harmful.
Just jab.
Like maybe he'd get play slapped. No, she hit him.
Wow.
Wow. And did she ever feel the need to go full Roberta and report?
No. No.
Snitches get
No,
stitched.
you get hit in my house, it stays in my house. We don't need to bring it home to you. You got in trouble here, no problem. No need to get you in trouble in two places.
And none of the kids, well, the one kid had to, I mean, that was right in front of mom.
Yeah.
But it's shaming. They were in high school.
But she didn't say anything. And then another time,
All these recovered memories.
It was a Saturday morning, and we were always like, be outside, play outside. All
How
the
old
time.
were you?
I was 6, 7, 8. Mm-hmm. And my older brother was 2 years older than me, and we were doorbell ditching one of our neighbors relentlessly on a Saturday morning at like 7 a.m. Poor guy. Mm-hmm. And I would run and ring the doorbell and then run and hide across the bushes. He'd open the door, nobody'd be there. Well, we didn't really put two and two together that he's eventually going to wait there at the door.
Right.
And about the fourth or fifth time we did it, and it was my brother egging me on, go do it again, go do it again, go do it again. And I ran up there, and the guy opens the door. Right even before I can ring the doorbell, he sees me in the peephole. He opens the door, grabs my arm, and spanks me like 12, 15 times.
Wow.
Right.
And
Nice.
and he didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell my parents. I would have gotten more trouble if I
Right.
went home and they found out about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it was in our neighborhood. It was pretty much free reign. You can hit the other kids.
Takes a village.
Yeah. I like that. All right, let's talk to
Table this for another time.
Yeah, we should write this down, Max Pata. I love when people disciplined. It could be physical, but there are other forms of discipline as well.
You know what? Can I just tell you really quick? A friend of mine, her mom used to do this in front of us, but never did it to us. She wore big costume jewelry, and when my friend would sass her, she'd turn the ring around and pop her in the forehead.
That's like in Over the Top when Stallone would turn the hat on.
That's
backwards.
right, and then get that extra grip.
That meant it was time to take down the muscle man.
Yeah.
Brandon, 41, South Carolina.
Miho?
Miho?
How's everybody doing?
Good. How you doing?
So I have a rich man foreman, and I wanted to talk to you guys about maybe giving some advice on writing my first film.
All right. What's your rich man, poor man?
You have a pool in the house. So either you're a rich man with a giant house where you can actually have a pool in the house, or you live in a different country, like a friend of mine who every time it rains, their house floods.
A body of water in the house.
de facto.
It's okay. Yeah, it's all right.
Ad hoc pool.
It's all right. Yeah, okay.
All right.
Is this the premise of the movie?
Say it again, Brian.
Is this the premise of your film?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No.
Wait, do you want advice on...
I'm an electrician by trade for the last 20 years, but I got into a weird hobby last year with all this COVID nonsense and got into Nerf blasters and met a friend who's a director and writer himself, actually has a big movie in the works right now that is helping me kind of move this forward, and I'm basically making a kid's film about the Nerf hobby, a bunch of kids going out and shooting foam darts and stuff at each other.
Is it written or is it documentary style?
No, it's not documentary style. It's a actual written film.
Yeah, okay. Shouldn't have taken that long. All right, good. I mean, you write it first, right?
Oh, yeah. The outline's done. The script's about 30% done.
Ooh, Ryan just said rich man, poor man writing a movie.
Oh, wow.
That's very true.
That's good, Ryan.
Yeah, we know which one you are. So,
mediocre man.
Yeah, you write it, and then you kind of see if people are interested in it. And for you, if you're doing it about Nerf, maybe you can get it underwritten by the Nerf toy company or something. There's ways to do it.
Dart Zone, yeah, there's a lot of those companies out there.
We're going to be seeing a lot more really shitty movies because Apple keeps running this commercial, or maybe it's Android. I can't remember. They keep showing about making a theatrical film with your phone, and now everyone's been weaponized to make a movie.
Yeah.
Right. So now everyone's going to make a movie, and there's going to be more clutter out there. But
I'm writing the script and then selling it, so I'm not planning on making the actual movie.
All right. Well, do you know anyone you can get it to? Do you know an agent or anything?
My friend who's been doing it since he was there in L.A. since he was 18, and he moved back here about 6 years ago. And he's made a bunch of films. He's making a big one that's basically a prequel to Tombstone.
Oh, boy.
Really?
All right. With Carlin. Get Carlin in there.
Well, all right. So
I'm the executive producer. Amazingly.
So write it.
Yeah.
And don't annoy any of your customers with this kind of talk, because people just got, they got a pendant lamp they want to hang in the kitchen, and you're talking about plot structure, and they're losing confidence by the second, right?
The B story kind of drops out.
Mm-hmm. But Brandon?
Yeah, I'm here.
I don't get what advice you want. You got to write the film.
Uh-huh.
And then give it to some people to read and see what they think.
He says 30% done. That 30% is often the easiest. You have that idea, you have that momentum, you're all fired up. It's that last little bit or even the middle bit that might get you frustrated, Brandon. So have a plan, work your way through it, work on different parts if you get stuck. Keep the momentum going is my advice.
That's exactly it. That's the problem I'm having is the momentum, because I have the whole formula written out, the 6 main parts of the film. I have the 40 pages worth of an outline of what each part of the script needs to be, but I get stuck, and that's the part I have the hardest time with. And Adam, I love your films, and you wrote them, right?
Yeah, I wrote them with Kevin Henge.
Okay.
I also have some experience because I wrote Connect 4, the movie. So it's not,
Right. All right. Thanks for that one.
Do you remember when I did that horror film Operation?
It's pre-production, right? So look, what you have to do is you have to carve out time. You have to get with somebody, and you have to kind of push through the block or whatever it is, and you kind of treat it like a job. In that, treat it like a personal trainer. You go, I work out, but sometimes I'm kind of lazy. Well, then have appointments to meet with the personal trainer. You have no choice. You're not feeling it today. It's too early. Whether your back's sore, whatever. It's just, put
a couple hours.
That's on the calendar.
Kind of like your interview with crap. I just forgot his name yesterday.
Mike.
I just listened to it today. That was a wonderful interview, by the way. So kind of like that. You just got, the cold water thing, you just got to push. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. I got to walk 24 miles. I got to get up.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yes. The problem with the creative process and or writing is it's way too romanticized.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
They go, first off, they invented something called writer's block. There's no such thing as roofer's block. There's just writer's block. No roofer has roofing block. I can't shingle today. It's just not coming to me. I'm in a bad way. My girlfriend broke up with me and I can't put shingles on. Like, no, you can. Just move ahead. It's your job. So we do a lot of so-and-so went to Paris to sit in cafes for a year and write this book. No one went to Van Nuys and sat in an apartment and wrote whatever. We grafted on this sort of romantic notion of writing and what writing is. Writing,
it's pretty mechanical.
It's really mechanical, and it's just a job. And if you've written books or you've written for the Oscars, you've written screenplays, it all is the same thing. Sit down and do it. By the way, whenever we talk to a journeyman, whoever, they just go, I sit down and I write for 5 hours a day, and I treat it like a job.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do. So you're not going to be inspired on a daily basis, but neither roofers or truckers or people that work at Trader Joe's. Yes.
If I can offer this piece of advice to Brandon, anyone listening who's writing or working on a creative project, if the powering through part, that can get frustrating because you're like, I just can't get past this or whatever. Work on a different part of the project. Work on just do a little backstory of a character and it might spring something up. Work on a different part of the story, different part of the plot, whatever.
Yes. Walk away and go to the next part. All right. We got the news coming. First, I'll tell you about Simply Safe wireless outdoor security camera. Big news. Simply Safe just launched their new wireless outdoor security camera. The system, U.S. News and World Report, named the best home security of 2021. Well, it just got better. Even better. Engineered with the advanced tech and security features to help you keep your family safe. Got the ultra-wide field of view. Also, it's got the 1080p HD resolution, 8 times zoom, so you can get all the details, built-in spotlight, color night vision, two-way audio so you can scare off the would-be thieves. Simple to set up, takes just minutes, easy to remove, rechargeable battery, so you don't have to hardwire it, which can be expensive. You'd have to talk to Brandon, the electrician, for that, but you don't need to. You just pop the battery off and charge it. Doesn't need an outlet. You learn more when you visit simplysafe.com/Adam. You get 20% off your entire order with your first month of monitoring service, and you get that free too as well when you enroll in their interactive monitoring. That's simplysafe.com/Adam. They buy cars and they test cars. That's all they do. And I've said to him, in this day and age of every car works, everything's got a warranty, everything is safe. Well, was there even a bad car these days? And he went, just one, just the smart car. That's the only bad car.
Other than that, they'll work.
Yeah,
they're all good.
Just
They're all
the one
same.
that's smart.